Hello, my name is Nathan Snyder, and today I'll be showing you how to safely operate a chainsaw. Now, this is what we call a chainsaw. Now, it's a chainsaw because it has chain. It's a chain with a bunch of blades on it. That's actually not why it's called a chainsaw, but that's what I'm using for today. So we got the chainsaw, big, hefty equipment. Now, when you're using a chainsaw, you want it to be an extension of your body. You don't want to be afraid of it, because if you are afraid of it, you can get injured very severely. So by knowing how to safely operate a chainsaw, hopefully you too will be able to operate a chainsaw safely. Now you also need safety equipment when you're running a chainsaw. Now unfortunately, I don't have all my safety equipment on me, so I will not be running the chainsaw because then I would be performing unsafe procedure. So you need 6 things. Number 1 is your hard hat. You need to make sure that hard hat's on there in case you're limbing a tree, nothing comes out and hits you in the head. 2, you need safety glasses. For obvious reasons, you get nothing in your eyes. 3, gloves. Gloves are nice so you can have so your hands don't get chewed up and you just protect your hands more. 4, long shirt and long pants. Again, so you don't get cut or anything. Or you get a tree whacked diagonally, you don't it minimizes the damage. 5, nice long boots, preferably up to 8 inches. Steel toes preferred, so you don't accidentally just drop the saw by accident, so running, injure yourself. That's not good. You want to keep your toes. Lastly, you have chaps on. Chaps are something that cover your legs, which unfortunately I don't own a pair, so I couldn't really have one. What chaps do is they're made of this material where if the saw were to come in contact, it's made of fibers where the fibers spin on the saw, binding the saw in its place because it gets stuck in the gearbox and just binds the saw together, stopping it immediately. So yes, those are the 6 pieces of equipment you need to safely operate a chainsaw. So first things first, when we're learning how to use a chainsaw safely, we need to check it over. So first thing you want to do is you want to make sure the teeth on the chain are nice and sharp and that it's not too tight. So right now, this is perfect. Not too tight, not too loose. So this is perfect right here. Next, we need to make sure it has enough bar oil. Now the bar oil, make sure that the chain runs nice and smoothly. As you can see, there's a little bit shining, so that means there's plenty of bar oil in the chain. Thirdly, and finally, you make sure there's gas. We need to make sure there's gas so that it will run correctly. As you can see, there's gas in there. Now, once you have that, you're all set. You're all set to fire up the chainsaw safely. All right, so this is the choke. The choke helps the engine of the chainsaw work. So you need to start it. Turn the choke on. And once it's running for a while, for at least 10-20 seconds, you turn the choke back off and you're good to go. Next, you got the chain brake and the trigger. So if you just squeeze this so the chainsaw's on, it's not gonna run. You have to push the button in, squeeze it, push the button in, and then the blade will run.
2.
All right, so to safely start a chainsaw, what you do is you have your dominant hand holding the top of the chainsaw. Then you bring this hand, you bring it and you get ready to pull. But before you pull, you put it between your legs so it's nice and stable. So you have 3 points of contact on the saw. My hand and my 2 legs. Then you just give it a rip and hopefully it starts back up and you make sure that choke is on so it for sure starts up.
2.
Another thing to remember when you're operating a chainsaw safely is make sure that when you operate this chainsaw, that no one is inside your blood circle, which is as far as the blade can reach. As you can see, the cameraman is safely outside the blood circle. Now, when you cut, you want to make sure you got a nice wide stance. So you got your balance, so you don't get thrown around. If you're standing flat-footed, you don't get thrown. Make sure the chainsaw is just sitting. I like to set the chainsaw on my leg because then it helps provide stability. When you're cutting, I'll just shift over here a little bit. We're not going to turn it on because if we turn it on, it's just going to be too loud and you won't be able to hear me talk and it just wouldn't be good for a video. So you got your nice stance, knees bent a little bit. I got it propped up against my leg. You come, if you're cutting limbs, you cut downwards and bring it up. And if you're cutting like a log or something, you can do 3 different cuts. You can do just straight down. You start from the bottom, stop halfway up, then bring it around town and cut from the top. Or you can do the angle cut, where you cut angles in, make it a little diamond, so everyone's pinching of the blade. Then once you got that, you just cut it straight down after you get your nice little triangle in there, and boom, you got yourself a log. And that's pretty much it to using a chainsaw.